Welcome back, here once again in France, but this time for a Formula 2 race for the 1966 Grand Prix de Rouen. The Rouen Grand Prix was round 3 of the 66 French F2 Championship and took place just 1 week after the Formula 1 Grand Prix in Reims. These days, Formula 2 may conjure up images of up and rising stars and feeder series, but in the 1960s, it wouldn't be hard to confuse a Formula 2 event with a Formula 1 race. For the Rouen Grand Prix, Formula 1 drivers such as Denny Hulme and Jack Brabham, Graham Hill and John Surtees, Jochen Rindt and Gilles Bonnier all showed up to race alongside some of the Formula 2 standouts like Alain Rees and Jackie Ickx. This race itself was notable for having quite a large entry list, and still had Pedro Rodriguez racing with Lotus taking the place of Jim Clark, who was injured in practice for the Reims Grand Prix, as well as the aforementioned Surtees taking the place of Jackie Stewart, still recovering from his injuries from the Belgian Grand Prix, and racing for the French Matra team. The race itself in real life was a test of attrition. Jack Brabham and Denny Hulme seemed the likely winners, but it was Jochen Rindt off the line who got the lead. But in short order, Rindt was passed by Jack Brabham, who set out to open up a large lead. It seemed like a sure win for Jack Brabham, but just 6 laps from the end, his gearbox failed, handing the win to his teammate, Denny Hulme. Alain Rees, driving a Brabham for Roy Winkleman Racing, was able to finish second, ahead of Pedro Rodriguez in third for Team Lotus. And so we're here in Grand Prix Legends to take part in our own edition of this fantastic Formula 2 race, again just 1 week after the Formula 1 French Grand Prix. And this is round 3 for the French Formula 2 season, but only the second time we'll be out racing these cars, not going for the championship or anything like that. There was actually the second round paired as the Saturday event with the French Grand Prix at Reims. But this will be our first time out since round 1 at the Pau Grand Prix, so no points or anything to track today, just pure racing, pure experience and fun on this classic circuit. For this one, I'll be driving my privately entered Brabham that was so successful at the Pau Grand Prix. Hoping today for much of the same. I should be on equal power, hopefully, with everybody, maybe not the works Brabhams, but we'll see if old Richie can put the fight to them and hopefully come out with a solid result. And so we'll take a quick look at the circuit, the classic Rouen-Les-Essarts, home to the French Grand Prix 5 times throughout the late 50s and throughout the 1960s. And this was one of those races that filled in the gap years. It was a track on public roads with excellent elevation change. Coming past the start-finish line, we'll wind our way down a series of corners, which are quite tricky in some of the faster cars. And these F2 cars are actually quite a lot of fun. And down to the Nouveau Monde. This is a tight hairpin on cobblestones, not quite as bumpy in Grand Prix Legends here as it would have been in real life, but certainly a challenge to get slowed down for in any car and quite a good passing opportunity. From there, we'll start heading back up the hill through Sanson and then wind our ways onto the highways. Gressel flat out in these cars and onto the long back straightaway, which brings us into really the best outbraking zone for the final corner, the Rouen corner, and back onto the front straightaway. The real F2 Grand Prix was run over 46 laps of the track, so keeping with our 1/3 distance that we're doing for all the races, that'll be just 14 laps, but that's a pretty good distance, especially in these cars that aren't quite as fast. And I think I'll need every one of those laps. We'll take a look at the starting grid, and things do not look quite as good as they should. Starting out front, though, we'll have Jochen Rindt with Jack Brabham and Kurt Ahrens on the front row. All 3 of them did quite well in the real event, so expect them to do the same here. Second row made up of Brabham's teammate Denny Hulme and Alain Rees as well. Looking further back, of course, John Surtees standing in for Jackie Stewart, Pedro Rodriguez in for Jim Clark, and Jackie Ickx as well. We have to go all the way back to the second to last row to find ourselves Richie Axelson here, back in 18th, starting on the outside, next to Gilles Bonnier, just behind Henri Grandshire and Graham Hill. Qualifying itself did not go super well. I was actually caught up battling some cars for quite a few laps. So I think I've got decent pace, but it'll be interesting to see just how far forward I can go, or if everybody else has got maybe slightly better tuned engines than I do for this one. So lots of ground to make up, but this one's just all about racing. Like I said, there's no points championship that I'm concerned about for it, but this is an excellent circuit and I'm anticipating some good battling. So let's get started with this, the 1966 Formula 2 Rouen Grand Prix. All right, so here we are at the back of the grid. A lot of cars in front, need a good start here. Flag is up, down right away, we're underway. Oh, I get an all right start, the revs bogged down, but sneak around one row, slam on the brakes. It's Graham Hill in front, checks up with everybody. All right, we'll get away now and head down the hill at Rouen. Come into the first corner, tiptoe here behind one of the cars. I think it's Joe Schlesser. But getting around a couple cars that are off the line, which is good. Come down to third gear, down the hill. Quite slow in these opening laps. These corners are really fast in the F2 cars. Once we get up to speed, once we get the tires heated up. So we'll just play it cool here on the opening lap. 14 laps. It's not the longest race, but a good amount of time to get things done. All right, brake hard then for the hairpin. Down to first gear around the outside of Schlesser. Ooh, might make a little contact there. He sneaks around the inside. All right, we'll get back up the gears. I think we might have touched wheels just ever so slightly there, but the car feels fine. Rev it out in third gear. These engines, so much less power than the Formula One cars. We'll sneak up the inside of Schlesser, though, as we'll come down to the 90-degree left-hander here. Hard on the brakes, down to first gear. Graham Hill fading out as well. Schlesser behind then, so making the pass. We'll find out in a couple laps what position we're up to. Hopefully make a few more up before then. But now try to maximize the revs as we'll come out and head onto the highway here at Rouen. Up to fourth gear, Hill right in front. Maybe can sneak up the inside as we'll come onto the highway. Fifth gear there, right around Graham Hill. Not too bad. I don't think it was very quick in 66 F2. We'll try to get a slipstream here. Definitely will need a slipstream to keep the cars in front. Can see the leaders already coming into the 90-degree bend. And try to find some sort of braking point. There's no markers at all. Keep it in second gear. Just try to roll through the Rouen corner and back towards the front straightaway. A quick section of concrete here through the end of the lap. Would have been very bumpy in real life. Up to fourth gear. Final flick, flat out in these cars. Just hanging on the back of Trevor Taylor, who was just in the Reims Grand Prix as well. But here in Formula 2, come across the line, complete knock number one, so not sure what position I'm up to, but passed quite a few cars, down to fourth gear, then right into the start of the next lap. Back up to fifth, back down to fourth. It's all about balancing the car here. This one put a lot of slip into it. We'll just try to close in or keep in touch with the cars in front so that we get that slipstream on the faster parts of the circuit. Everything will condense here down to the hairpin, working the car as we slow it down. It wants to work sideways or break loose. All right, come out of the hairpin, bogging down quite a bit. The gears are quite long. Not a lot of power coming from the little engine behind. All right, third gear here. Just let it ride through the left-hander. An easy one to run wide on. There's these big curbs next to the circuit as well that can upset the car if you touch them, so you're going to have to thread the needle. Similar to Monaco. There may not be walls, but you'll spin out if you hit the curbing. All right, definitely closing in on Taylor in front. A couple more cars in front of him here. See if I can close in on him on the highway like we did Hill. Looks like maybe a Matra in front, or one of the blue French cars. Leader still in sight, but already breaking a bit of a gap. It's going to be tough to actually get to the front of the grid, but could be mechanical failures like there was in real life. Ooh, car's in front, bit sideways. I think we got jump here, Beltois in the blue car right in front here of Taylor. Up on the inside of Taylor, though. Come to the final corner. It's just not going to be a place to make a pass. Have to slot in back behind him. We're up to fourth gear. We'll take a look at the pit board this time by. It should be accurate as of last lap. So up to P12 from 18th on the grid. Not too bad. Taylor in front like I thought. Back to fourth gear. And make sure we don't miss the first corner there. Down to third. But a good train of cars in front, so I'm on to a pack here. I think probably Brabham's broken out front. Oh, Taylor's broken. All right, get a freebie there. So mechanical gremlin already. This track would have been really fast for the Formula 2 cars. A lot of top speed running. Very different circuit from Reims, but same mechanical circumstance where these cars are really straining their engines and gearboxes and things. But a much more pleasurable circuit to drive. One of the best, truly. All right, but behind Beltois, down to first gear, we got the couple of Lotuses in front as well. Ron Harris Lotus team. I think it's Arundel and then Rodriguez in front of him. Can't quite see who's further up the road than that. That looks like one of the Matras from Tyrrell. All right, up to fourth gear then. Right in the slipstream this time of Beltois. I think he'll be able to get the proper line through the long sweeping bend here. Just a breath of the throttle to fall in behind, not get too close. All right, but flat out then down the back straightaway. Should have a look towards the inside, towards the end of it, ducking out of the slipstream, the air, hit the front of the car, and then brake as late as you think you can. He's going to be right with me, though, down to first gear. Give him quite a bit of space. No one behind us, so it's really just focusing forward at this point. Right, up to fourth gear then. Get a nice run out of the final corner, right on the inside. Come past the spectators in the narrow pit lane up to fifth gear. There, Beltois behind, I'll slot into place. So another free position, or another position. That one's certainly not free. All right, Arundel in front now. You can tell with the orange helmet, bright colored helmet. Hard on the brakes, try not to let the car break loose. Look for Beltois to make a lunge. Should certainly be the corner, one of the main corners to pass in. Might want to gear the car. The car is a little tall in gear, especially in first gear. Just getting away from the hairpin there. Don't quite get the launch that I'd want, but too late to do anything about that now. Notes for a future race, I suppose. Formula One will, of course, be coming back here in future seasons. All right, down to first gear for the bend, but right with these, hopefully I can pick them off one by one. Work my way up into the points, although that doesn't necessarily matter for this one. Through the fast kink there to the right. Should have a great slipstream down the straightaway, a bit further back, but that's sometimes a bit better to get a nice toe and do the slingshot. All the cars in front, though, are going to have toes from each other as well. Might be Rint a couple up. Might be a green helmet. We'll have to see if I get closer. Oh, and the two Lotuses in front actually able to pull away a little bit down the straightaway here, working with each other. Come to the end, trying not to outbrake myself. So easy to do. There's just no braking markers or anything. Oh, Arundel out wide. I didn't even get down to first gear there. I can't quite see him. I can just hear him. His nose is right there. We'll come into the kink here. Oh, really back out of it. Too wide. All right, drag race down the front straightaway. I should have just gone in full bore. Could have cut in front of him. You just never know if you're going to make contact. Certainly not the way you'd want to end a race. Back down to fourth gear. So we really lost the train in front, which is not good. See if I can make quick work of Arundel here. Down 2 gears for the left-hander. Arundel's quite quick in the corners. Seem to have an edge on him, at least through the straight sections without that slipstream. That will come down to the hairpin, though. Let the engine help brake the car. Try to get on the throttle quite soon to build up those RPMs. He still gets a better launch out of there than me, though. Hopefully we can close back up on that group in front. If I can get around Arundel this lap, should have a much better run than him. Oh, quite a good exit there, too. See if I can make the pass up the inside here. Oh, locking up the tires, missing a gear. He's going to sweep back under me. That's a big error from myself. Lucky to save the car there and that he backed out of it, did the old over-under. Hopefully didn't damage the gearbox or anything with that. Right back on him though. Could just see in my mirrors there, maybe Beltois sticking onto us. Right up to 5th gear. Just nowhere to go with it at this stage. Back off just a little bit to get a better run down the straightaway then. Alright, right in the wheel tracks. Pull in on him a bit this time. He doesn't have the slipstream he did last lap. Up the inside, we're going to go side by side again through here. Hopefully a little less dramatic this time. Down to 2nd gear. Right, there we go. Back on the accelerator, right in front of Arundel. Get the pass and actually right up to Pedro Rodriguez in front now too. Looks like he might have got slowed down trying to make a move. So through the flick, pass another one. We'll take a look at the pit board. Alright, so P10, should be P9 now with 9 laps to go. Already flying by. Just down 1 gear, let the RPM settle, get the car nice and stable. Same thing really for this 2nd corner to the left. Up to 4th gear. So pulling away from Arundel behind, which is good, and up to Rodriguez in front. I think he's got Ix in front of him, so not Rint. You can see the blue helmet now of Ix. I'm chasing one other car, not sure who that is. Seems like I'm pretty good through this left-hander here. If I can get a good exit, try to maximize the exit. Yeah, you can see just how much I reel in Rodriguez there. Not close enough to make a pass this time. Don't want to miss a gear again. Always good for a couple of those in a race. All right, work back up the hill then. Right behind Rodriguez. He's going to be held up a little bit from Ix in front. He's going to have a better run though in the slipstream, even at this speed. Pick up some of it. Ooh, he dipped off the throttle there for a second. Fall back in line, come onto the straightaway. He's got that good toe this time too, so not gonna be able to get around him. Come down to the hard braking though. Down to 2nd gear, going to 1st this time. So everybody kind of squirms around looking for maybe a way to dive past. Ix looking up the inside of the car in front. Flat out this time. Have a slower exit. Gaining a bit though on Rodriguez. Oh, he slows down a bit. Not sure checking up there, but able to get around Rodriguez. Quick reaction. Almost ran into his gearbox there. Maybe missing a shift or something. Right up to 5th gear. See Rodriguez behind. Thought he might be going for a lunge right on the back of Ix now. Keep my eyes on both sides as we'll come down to the hairpin. Try not to over rev, just let the engine settle. Can't do a lot of shifting in the corner itself. I'll block the inside. Try to get on that throttle right away. A little bit better that time. Alright, right with Ix. Try to get a little bit wide out on the entry so I can really carve it in. Oh, an awesome run. Alright, get up the inside. Just be a little less dramatic this time. Down to 1st gear, still lock up the inside wheel. One of the Winkleman cars in front. But able to get around Ix then. So almost to the front of this line, and we got one more car up the road in front of this one. I should have a good run down the straightaway, I'd imagine. But dispatching them one by one. We'll come to the fast bend up the inside. Up to 5th gear, just keep it nice and close so we're side by side. Oh, might have been a little smoke in the mirror there. That's a bit risky, but able to make the pass. The car behind me just sticking with me there. I'll have to take a look at who's in the 8 after the race. All right, come down to Rouen corner, trying to outbrake myself. Quite late on the brakes. Down to second gear there, getting it stopped, locking them up again, these tires. Absolutely abusing them. But able to get around. All right, I'll set my eyes forward. I got one car in front here. I think about half the race done. A pretty action-packed first half, getting around a bunch of cars. You can always expect that from the back, but P8 last time by, so I got around 2 more, so I think I'm up to 6th, which I guess would be points if it mattered. I suppose I only missed 1 round, just the Reims round. It was the day before the French Grand Prix proper on Sunday, also won by Jack Brabham in real life, so he had a pretty stellar weekend, and then came here and almost had the win at Rouen as well. It's working out a bit different for him. We'll see how it ends up. Haven't seen anybody really slow from the front. Trevor Taylor, the only one with a mechanical there. A little clumsy through the hairpin. All right, so we got 1 car in front. I'm not sure who that is at this point. Seems to be this part of the circuit that's my best part. Try to do my best to take a good line through there. Driving the F2 cars around Rouen is quite awesome. They're very well suited for this circuit. Feel a little more like you're tiptoeing some of the faster Grand Prix cars around here, but these cars are just kind of the perfect speed. You can go flat out through a lot of corners if you get the right line. The side-by-side racing is really good. Right up to 5th gear. You can see why the Formula 1 drivers at the time did a lot of Formula 2 racing as well, because the racing itself just helps you hone your craft even more. Get down to 2nd gear. We'll lunge into the corner a bit wide, but try to carry the speed there. Might be a 1st gear corner. And taking 2nd through there. I'll come to the final kink. Finally be able to take it flat. Right to the inside curb. All right, come to the line. Take a look at that pit board again. So P6, yeah, 6 laps to go. P6. Hopefully can catch this car in front. It's Denny Hulme. It's actually a bit further back than I thought he'd be. Nice flow down the hill, flat out through this right-hander. This corner tricky as ever though. 3rd gear, let it settle through the curve, and then 2nd and 1st as you brake in a straight line right towards the end. Difficult in these types of cars, nearly impossible in some of the heavier 50s Grand Prix cars and things. Very, very tricky corner. Not quite as good of a run through there this time, but still definitely gaining on Hulme in front. 1st gear, can see him now quite clearly. Should have a nice slipstream here down the back straightaway. This part of the circuit actually lopped off in the later years as well. I think the circuit survived until the early 70s before it was ultimately removed, or this version of it at least. Oh, a white flag in front too. To be careful. So white flag here, car right around the hidden corner. All right, get onto the straightaway. No more white flag. There's the car. Oh, that might be Jack. I think that's Jack Brabham. So just as in real life, his car breaking down towards the end of the race too. I think 6 laps to go. Incredibly accurate. All right, so right on Hulme now. So got around Jack Brabham, who was probably in the lead. See another car there exiting. Let's come to the final corner, stick behind Hulme here and try to get a good exit. Whoa, get my wheel up on the curb there, right out to the outside dirt. That's a big mistake on my part. Oh, Just catching the car. Give myself a second to calm down there. I was nearly the end of the race, almost lost the wheel in my hands. Just trying to get that nice exit there to pass him on the front straightaway, which I think I could have done. But just hit that curb and it upset the car so much. All right, focus back in. I'm really still quite close to him, about the same as I was last lap. Terrible to throw away all the hard work so far, just like that. So still making some costly errors. I'm not quite so happy with the performance at Reims either, although that car with BRM is quite tricky to drive. This wasn't a smooth drive. I could have really settled in and just had a nice drive, but threw it off the track a couple times and things. Need to avoid those types of mistakes. It's out of first gear here. We'll follow home. So it should be up into fifth now. Looking at fourth. Just take one more in front to drop out to get that podium, which is ultimately what you're looking for at a race that doesn't really count for anything. It's all about the glamour in the racing. To fifth gear then. Should have a good slipstream on him down the straightaway. Hopefully he doesn't break down right in front of me either. It's quite quick though. The Brabham Works cars are quite good. Dip out. Side by side will come down to the braking zone, down to first gear so I can keep it tight. He'll slide back in front. Alright, we'll come up to the final kink and try to do this a bit more smoothly this time. Nice little breath of the throttle. He slows down quite a bit to get his car through there. Get a bit of a run here. We'll come past the start-finish line. Get 4 laps to go. Is in P5. We got Denny Holm right on the left there. Come down to the first corner. Oh, he stuck it in there. I thought I was going to slide in front of him. That was really close. All right, Denny Holm's here to race. Down to third gear. That could have ended so poorly as well. A lot of close calls in this one. I'm feeling there'll be a few drivers upset with Axelsen after this race. Down to second gear. A little bit easy on the braking zone there. It's really difficult to pass cleanly through the hairpins. Best just to try to get a nice run through. Holm pulls out a bit though. He's quick through there. Right out to the edge. Gain on Holm coming down to the 90. Oh, first gear. Almost making contact once again. Holm's going to be pretty upset with Axelsen. All over the back of him. If I was Holm, I might just let me go. Definitely got the quicker car at this point. Just need to find a clean way around him. So right on his gearboxes, we'll come out to the straightaway. Hopefully I can outbrake him this time. I need to stop going side by side. It's just going to end poorly at some point. Fifth gear, a little late on the shift. He's so quick in a straight line though. I did not get the run I needed down the straightaway. Trying to get a good exit there. Just hit that inside curb again. Can actually damage your suspension if you do that hard enough. Definitely knock him out of alignment. All right, a little bit better of an exit this time. We'll stay in the slipstream just the last second, dive out. So we'll come across the line. I think we'll have 3 more laps to go. Up to fifth gear. Holm is still there. So don't want to do what I did last time through here and almost make contact with him. We'll slide in the back. It seems like I'm just letting him have the position, but it's actually quite tricky to get around him. Maybe have a chance down here into the hairpin, although that's not a good idea. Down to third gear, the car ride a bit. Yeah, he's too good through there. I'd really have to send it up the inside and catch him off guard or something. Slightly closer this time here, though. See how I can do through this kink. Quite a lot of slip angle in it. Just get the car sideways. There we go. A nice run up the inside. Try not to lock it up this time. Second gear, first gear. He slots in behind. Try to get a good exit here onto the highway then. So around home, but he might be able to pass me back as we come down the highway. Third gear, flat out through this kink to the right. He falls back a little bit more. Fourth gear. Try to keep it nice and tight on the inside. Fifth gear. He's right there, though. Nothing really you can do. He's going to pass me. He's going to pass me. Right on my gearbox. We come down to the braking zone. Just question yourself. He's going to hang in back there, though. Thinks better of it, thankfully. Slide my way through. All right, should be clear now. So home, not going for the lunge. Just trying to survive now as we'll come to the line. I think just a couple more laps to go. Take a look at the pit board this time. All right, 2 laps to go. P4. So really at this point, just looking for some kind of white flag in front and somebody to be broken down. Holmes still there a little bit. I can't forget about him entirely. Just try to get nice and clean here through the first sector. To fourth gear, just sit on that left rear. Soften up the suspension just a little bit to make the car more comfortable to drive. Right down to first gear. This would be a great place to watch the racing too. The cars just trying to get down to a slow speed through there. Holmes still keeping me honest behind, but I should be able to pull him through this section. This is where I'm quickest. Right out to the outside, dive it into the apex, nice and cleanly through, perfect corner. Get it onto the straightaway. Can't see anybody in front, so there's no slipstream anymore. I think I would have broke the slipstream, the draft, with Holm behind, so shouldn't have to worry about him this time, but we'll see. Yeah, he's quite far back there now. Just giving up the chase. Let's see if I can see anybody on the straightaway. Yeah, nobody diving into the corner, so quite far back off the car in front. Just try to put in another solid lap after this and round this race out. Down to second gear. All in all, quite successful so far, but don't want to call it job done just yet. See how easily things change. Come to the line, though. One more lap. Look at the pit board just to see what the gap was last time by. And it's Surtees in front, 16 seconds. Man, we might be in a little drafting pack with each other, and certainly pulled out a distance over a short amount of laps. All right, fourth gear down the hill. Oh, right out to the outside. Gonna get on the dirt a little bit there. Don't need to be doing that. I think the last run through the hairpin here. Well, yellow flag in front. All right, be careful here. Just watch for a car sitting in the track. And there's one sitting on the apex. In quite a bad position. The marshals clean it up right in front of me. I want to say that was Joe Bonnier. We'll have to see in the results. Always something exciting on the final laps. Precarious place to have a breakdown. Maybe with one of my opponents in front. We'll have to see. Right, nice and smooth there. A little wide on the apex, but it's all fine. You can just see home in the mirror. Dip in as I come around the corner. And onto the straightaway for the final time, up the gears. Love racing at this track. It's just such a great flow, and especially, like I said, in these lower horsepower cars, I think you could race really anything around here and have a good time, but these ones definitely give you good battles. Come onto the straightaway though, just see a car going through the final corner here. Another yellow flag just for a second. Never know into the final corners, but down the gears, a little bit early on the braking, just nice and smooth, get it through. All right, out onto the concrete patches for the final time, one more corner. So no drama at the last second with passing anybody, it seems, but we'll come to the line, can see the checkered flag waving. The Rouen Grand Prix, not a bad one overall. Quite an exciting race. So we'll take a look at the final results, and it's Jochen Rindt that gets the win with Jack Brabham falling out there with just a few laps to go. So Jochen Rindt ahead of Kurt Ahrens and John Surtees on the podium, filling in for Jackie Stewart. Myself, Richie Axelson, 4th position. Not so bad, pretty happy with that. Coming up 14 positions off the start, and a lot of those actual passes on the circuit. A few really close calls. I think I saw wheel smoke at least a couple times out there, and one pretty big moment off track. Exciting race, but that's what it takes to get from the back of the grid to the front. Denny Hulme, who I battled with for quite a while there, finishing in 5th, and then in 6th, Alan Rees in the 8 car, who's the one I didn't quite know who we were passing there, but Alan Rees doing quite well to finish up in the points. From there, we got Jackie Ickx, Jean-Pierre Beltois, Arundel Rodriguez, Schlesser, all cars that I had to pass. And towards the back, Frank Gardner, Offenstadt, Atwood, and Graham Hill a lap down towards the rear to round out the finishing field. And so quite not as much attrition in this race as the real-life one, but Joe Bonnier out with a piston failure, Jack Brabham with an ignition issue, that's what we saw him, just 6-7 laps to go. Joe Sifford also with a piston issue, and then Trevor Taylor and Henri Grandshire round out the retirees. So another fun and exciting race in the Formula 2 cars, just something else to help prepare as the Formula 1 season really cranks up now. But that's going to be it for this one. I hope you enjoyed the Rouen Grand Prix. Elbows out, fighting all the way from the rear of the grid up to a 4th position finish. Not too bad. So thank you for watching. This is GPLaps, and I'll see you all again next time.